Well, hello, and happy Monday to everybody. I am Charles Taylor, and I am your host for this latest Breath of Fresh Air Shorty. So, on this one, we're going to talk about the NFL. Doesn't it feel good to talk about football again? And let's be honest, we've had a lot of stuff going on, especially with the NBA and their free agency period, and also with the stuff that's going on in Major League Baseball, which I will talk more about that later on in the week because we haven't talked about it. So we want to cover everything that is out there, and I'm trying my best to get to all those topics. But for today, this is about the NFL, and we are getting into it. I mean, training camps have started. A lot of them started last week. I think the Denver Broncos started theirs on the 17th, so they've been doing this for almost 2 weeks. But just a couple of things to touch on. I know the biggest thing that has been talked about is the situation involving Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill, and the NFL saying they're not going to suspend him at this time. Now, look, I'm sure a lot of us are surprised Hill didn't get any suspension out of that, but at the same time, should you really be that surprised he wasn't suspended? The reason why I say that is because it's the NFL. And if there's one thing we know about the NFL when it comes to disciplinary actions and how to handing out that discipline, they're anything but consistent. One thing will go for a certain case, and then another thing will go for another case. So through the substance, yeah, I can definitely understand somebody being surprised, but it's the NFL. They're never consistent on anything. And anywhere where you can get as many games of a suspension for deflated footballs and marijuana usage as you can for getting into domestic violence issues, then that should tell you everything you need to know about how the NFL handles disciplinary actions. But let's get back to things that are on the field. Now, as for the predictions that I will have coming up here soon, because I don't have any predictions right now. I have a feeling where I will go as far as the division winners, who I think will be in the Super Bowl in Miami come February. But right now, I'm not totally sure. I have made a few choices just based off how I would feel right now, but I reserve the right to hold off on anything set in stone until it's about to kick off for the regular season. Speaking of kickoffs, now there's another thing that it came out talking about the schedule and how many games to play on that schedule. So there's been stuff that's been thrown around about the league going to an 18-game season, but you can only play the starters in 16 games. To me, that is dumb. That's one of the most garbage things I've heard in a while. This is how you should handle this. Either you stick with the 16 games and cut down the preseason games, because the teams are doing joint practices with each other anyway. So I think the preseason games are even more meaningless now than they have been now that you have teams doing joint practices. You can have 2 preseason games, have one for the players who are trying to make it on the team, and then you have your dress rehearsal. Your dress rehearsal where your starters will play the majority of the snaps going into halftime and a little bit into the third quarter. So either you stick with the regular season schedule of 16 games, or if you're going to go 18 games, you're going to have to throw another bye week in there. I just think the whole thing is funny because if you're going to add games, then that goes against everything the NFL will have you believe they're about, which is player safety. How is adding more games about player safety? But that's what happens when you see all the money rolling in. The NFL made in excess of $15 or $16 billion last year. So when you have that money train rolling in there, you're going to try to capitalize on it as much as possible. That's what the NFL is. That's what they're about. They can say all the stuff they want to about player safety, but they're about money at the end of the day. And also, going back to those predictions, they said I don't have any, but I do think there are a couple of teams that are getting way too much hype that I don't feel like they deserve that hype. One is the Kansas City Chiefs. The other is the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, I get it. I know they made it to the AFC Championship game last year, and they came within an eyelash of beating the New England Patriots and getting to the Super Bowl in Atlanta last year. But their defense, from what I've seen, is still not good. They're still a one-dimensional team. And Patrick Mahomes, I know he won the MVP last year, but it's hard to imagine he's going to come out and throw 50 touchdown passes this year. I think there was a lot of people who were caught off guard by what Mahomes was bringing. Now you're going to see what really happens when teams can actually put a game plan together. I don't see Mahomes duplicating that performance. And as for the Cleveland Browns, can we at least get a winning season from them before we want to project them going to the Super Bowl or even winning the AFC North? Yes, I get they have added some players. They won some games last year, a lot better than when they were 0-16 a couple of years ago. But can we at least see them get over 500 first before we want to hype them up? Yes, I get they got Odell Beckham Jr. to go along with Jarvis Landry in the receiving corps. Yes, they picked up Kareem Hunt at running back. Yes, they have Baker Mayfield at quarterback, but there's a lot of personalities there and a lot of hot hits. And you have a rookie head coach in Freddie Kitchens. Yes, I know he was the offensive coordinator last year, but it's a lot different now that you have to be the head coach. So I'm just saying, I would like to see the Browns do something. Don't get me wrong, especially for those fans up there who have stuck with them for this long. Yes, I would love to see them do something. But let's pump the brakes on calling them the new hotness. That's all I'm saying. Until I can see them win some games and maybe win the AFC North over Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Cincinnati, now I'm going to hold off on jumping on that bandwagon. I would like to see it, but I'm not on there yet. Well, that's what I'm breathing on for this edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube. Make sure you check this out on Facebook. Of course, we got the YouTube channel, and I also post this on Twitter and LinkedIn. So until later on this week when we discuss Major League Baseball topics, everybody have a good rest of your Monday, and I'll see you soon.